Marty Friedman's arpeggio playing is one of the most important aspects of his style, but it can be tough to know where to get started if you're trying to learn classic solos like Tornado of Souls. But on today's Friedman Arpeggio Primer, I'm going to give you guys everything that you need to get started. Hey there kids, it's your good buddy Uncle Ben Eller, and if I'm talking at you a little bit funny today, it's because I'm still in recovery from having my wisdom teeth removed just a couple days ago. But I'm not about to let a couple teeth getting ripped out of my face or the fact that my air conditioning is currently out right now get in the way of educating you guys on the ways of Friedman. On today's video, I'm going to show you guys a great etude that I came up with to help you guys get those Friedman style 2-string sliding arpeggios under your fingers. We're going to talk about the shapes and techniques involved, as well as some of the theory and harmony that goes on behind these things to help you get that authentic Marty sound. I'm going to show you guys the licks first, then we're going to talk about the harmony and stuff, and you can use those timestamps down there to help you navigate this video. As always, this video is brought to you guys by everybody who supports my channel over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Sign up today, even for just $1 a month, you're going to get access to a ton of bonus videos, vlogs, downloadable tabs, and so much more. This week, everybody who supports my channel is going to get some awesome practice tracks to go along with this lesson to help you get it up to speed in no time fast. I'll be uploading those at a variety of different tempos, as well as the MIDI tracks that way you can create your own perfect practice session at home. Plus, there'll be downloadable tabs to go along with it, so don't delay, sign up today. Gear-wise for today's video, I'm playing this lovely new Abasi Guitars Larada Legion. They just sent me this guitar to check out. I was kind of skeptical about it. It's really awesome. Those Abasi Fishman pickups sound great. Guitar plays itself, a fine instrument. And I'm playing that through the Fractal Audio Axe FX 3. First things first, let's hear that hot lick again at stepdad speed. So these arpeggios are following a riff that's based around E, going to A, going to B, and then back around to E again. But the way I constructed the harmony of these arpeggios makes it sound more like the riff is following a chord progression that goes E7 flat 9, A minor, B7 flat 9, and then E minor. Again, more on the theory and harmony after I show you the licks. All these are going to be based around the top 2 strings of the guitar, and the first note we play here starts off around this E major triad, which is B, G sharp, and E. We're going to play like this. So you'll notice that was a pick, a pull off, and then another pick stroke. You're going to do that 2 times in a row. And the third time you play this B note, you're going to slide it up to the D note like this. That's going to be kind of a theme that this entire thing follows. Very much like the way the arpeggios in the Killing Road solo are put together. Now from here we're going to repeat the same idea in this position. We're going to play these notes though, D, B, and G sharp. Kind of feels like a little diminished triad, but we're really just extending that E harmony out to sound like E7. So we're going to play, so again, twice through the arpeggio, and then play the highest note, and slide up to this F note. Now that we're up here in this position, we're going to play a sliding diminished arpeggio like this. So it's really only that one shape, just moving down the neck in minor thirds. Let me show you the phrasing there again, a little more slowly. There was another Weekend Wink Shop lick I did a while back that kind of covers some sliding style arpeggios like this. I'll put that episode number down there at the bottom of the screen, and you guys can also use that to find the tab for that lesson on my Instagram page too. So be sure to check that one out. It's going to give you some more pointers about the phrasing and everything going on right there. Just pay really close attention on that tab to where the slides and stuff are. This isn't all picked. Marty's not like a mega pick every note kind of player, so be sure to keep that in mind. So that's all for the entire E7 flat 9 section. After this, we're going to go to an A minor arpeggio, moving around in different positions too. This one's a little bit more straightforward harmony-wise. So in this position, we have access to the notes of an A minor triad, which are C, A, and E. We're going to start off right there. So again, just like before, after we play that highest note the third time, we're going to slide it up to the next note of the arpeggio, the E here on fret number 12. So now that you're in this position, you're going to play this shape. So this is actually the same three notes, it's just a different inversion of them. C, A, E, E, C, A. It's the exact same notes, just in a different order. We're going to do that higher up as well. So now that we're in this high A minor position, we're going to play this phrase. So you'll notice there at that third time through the arpeggio, I slid from the highest note E up to the next position's highest note A. Again, this is very typical of Friedman's phrasing. Now that we're in this position, we have access to those three A minor triad notes with this shape. A little bit of a stretch. So we're going to play this phrase. After you hit this note, slide down to your previous position. Play it again. One more time. And then from this position, the same idea you just executed using this shape and the first shape that you played. Okay? So the entire A minor section is. Up next, we're going to go to the B7 flat 9 arpeggios. These are going to be kind of similar to the way we did the E stuff earlier. Start off with your B major arpeggio here, which is D sharp, B, and F sharp. We're going to slide up to this position where we have the same three notes, F sharp, D sharp, and B, just like that. Then play the same idea. You'll notice this time I slid up to the A note here on the high E string. From here we're going to do that same diminished idea that we did over the E. So again, it's only this shape. Just moving down the neck 3 frets at a time. I kind of go off the position of my first finger here and look at it moving down 3 frets at a time as I go down the neck. Makes it a little bit more easy to visualize. And then lastly, we're going to finish this off with the E minor part, which again, just like the A minor section, is only going to be the 3 notes of the E minor triad, which are E, B, and G, moving through a couple different positions here on the neck. First one here is a little bit of a stretch though, so be sure to put that thumb down really low. Don't even be afraid to lose contact entirely with the neck with your thumb. That way you can make this stretch from 7 to 12 happen, because that's definitely a knuckle buster. So it's going to sound like this. Then slide that top note up to the G note up here on the 15th fret. From here you're going to be in this shape. Sliding it to B. Okay. And then this last section is going to sound like this. So again, that's that kind of middle shape. Sliding down to the bar shape. And then cap that off with a big old sassy bend here from D up to the root note of the arpeggio E. And that is the entire thing for the left hand. Let's play those shapes again. We'll talk about the picking next. Close enough for rock and roll. Okay, so here's the thing about this. If you really want to get in Marty's headspace, you kind of got to play like Marty. Now that doesn't mean you have to do the whole like flipper grip that he does all the time, but you do have to understand the logic of what that kind of picking position that he uses allows and does not allow him to do. Here's a good way to think about it. If the pick is a paintbrush, Marty's paintbrush is permanently angled like this, like he's only going down the wall. Marty almost never paints up the wall. Because again, if your paintbrush is angled like this and you try going up the wall, it doesn't really work very well, right? You always go with the path of least resistance. The way that Marty's picking hand is held really automatically puts him in a pretty extreme downwards pick slanting position, to use the cracking the code terminology. So his picking is always going like this, okay? Now what this means is that it's really easy for him to do consecutive downstrokes on multiple strings. In fact, you could play this entire sequence using only downstrokes. And that's even probably going to give you a more accurate Marty sound because he plays so hard, so ferociously all the time. So if you play this entire thing using those strategic slides and pull-offs to buy your pick time to get back over to the next string to do the consecutive downstrokes, it actually works out really well. Let me show you what I mean. Down, pull, down, slide, down, pull, down, slide. And then from here you got down, pull, down, slide, hammer, pull, down. It's really confusing to say, but honestly, if you just go into this with the mindset of if it's a pick stroke, do a downstroke, you're probably going to get this thing sounding right. Watch my picking hand here a little bit more closely and you'll see I'm using nothing but consecutive downstrokes. Again, nothing but downstrokes there. You get a really aggressive, snappy attack out of it, which sounds really awesome. So that's probably the way that Marty would attack that phrase from the right hand perspective. But there's other approaches here too if that's not exactly comfortable for you. For a lot of us, playing this lick with entirely outside picking would really work too. So if you're on the higher string, do an upstroke. If you're on a lower string, do a downstroke. Playing it this way always keeps you on the outside edges of the strings. It gets rid of the consecutive downstroke economy picking thing that Marty kind of thrives on, but it still would work with his picking approach. Again, it's just as simple. If you're on the high E string, do an upstroke. If you're on the B string, do a downstroke. Think of it that way. Either of those picking approaches will give you a really authentic Friedman style. One thing you want to avoid if you're really trying to capture his sound is an inside picking approach, where you'd be going down on the high E and up on the B. That's just a move that Marty would never do. But I've seen him use both the downstroke only and outside only approach to playing arpeggios. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the theory and harmony going on right here, because this is really what makes it sound like Friedman. Mostly centered around the thing that we're going to talk about first right here, which is extending a dominant arpeggio. That's kind of like the secret Friedman sound. It's sort of funny because like most metal guys, whenever we're going for like ultimate evil arpeggios, everybody reaches for like, you know, minor and diminished sounds and stuff. In reality, Marty's entire thing that sounds the most exotic and the most kind of evil to our ears is him messing around with dominant harmony. You know, the chord that's in like every Beatles song, right? That sound right there. Sounds like the most like harmless, fun, goofy sound in the world, but there's one little thing that he does to it that makes it sound, again, really exotic and aggressive to our ears. And it works like this. Okay, so the first thing that we played there is that E major triad, right? Construction-wise, that's root, third, and fifth. Now, if we add on a flat 7, in there like we did earlier, root, third, fifth, flat 7, the D note right here, we've now taken this E major and made it sound like E7. There's that D note, that flat 7. Again, it's kind of bluesy, kind of funky sounding, right? Whenever we're in this position, we're just playing more of that harmony. D, B, G sharp. Again, the B and G sharp you already played here. So there's only one new note that you're adding in, the D note. Now, whenever we took that shape and slid it up another minor third, we added in the most important note to making that Friedman sound work, this F note. Now again, if you think about E as being the root of this arpeggio, this F would sound out as a flat 9 interval. The other notes that we're playing in this position right here, the D and the B, again, we already played those in the last position. So by sliding this diminished shape up, all that we're really doing is injecting in a flat 9 into this sound. Root, third, fifth, flat 7, flat 9. This is what lands us in the harmony that Marty loves. This is the sound that you've been looking for when you've wondered about like what that crazy exotic sound is and like the Hangar 18 solo or the Killing Road solo is. It's the sound of Marty taking a seemingly innocuous riff and putting this dominant flat 9 harmony over it with an arpeggio. I'm going to clean that up a little bit so you can hear it more better. That's really cool, right? And again, the bottom part of the chord, sounds like you're playing like Possum Kingdom by the Toadies. But whenever you hear that flat 9 in there, that's the danger molecule that makes this stuff sound so awesome. And again, Marty is a master of doing this, superimposing harmony onto a riff where it doesn't really exist. If you think about it, most of the riffs in heavy metal songs are based around single notes or even just power chords. You know, a power chord is just root and fifth. There's not a lot of harmony there. It's up to you, the soloist, to tell the listener what kind of third it has. Does it have a minor third? Does it sound minor now? Does it have a major third? Does it sound major, you know? You can impose this harmony over things that shouldn't really have it imposed on it and get these really cool exotic sounds. And that's something that Marty does all the time. Okay, so again, we have major triad, dominant sound, and then what to our fingers feels like a diminished pattern. By the way, that just lands us on that F note again. A lot of players would see that shape and just assume it was a diminished lick, but you got to remember, what's it being played over, right? It's being played over E. So it's giving us that sound of root, third, fifth, flat 7, flat 9, which is the Marty sound. Emil Wursler, who's an incredible guitar player and friend of mine, also does this stuff all the time in his soloing too, and it sounds awesome. It's something you can hear in a lot of European jazz playing too, so be sure to check out players like Borelli Lagreen or Yosho Stefan to hear more of this stuff in action. Those guys will take a dominant chord and play all that crazy dominant flat 9 stuff on it, and it sounds so cool. Also put that harmony into the backing riff there too. It starts off just on E, and then it adds in that little diminished feeling run in there. Again, it feels diminished, but really what we're hearing is flat 9, flat 7, and 5 in comparison to the root E. After this, we'll get to the A minor section. And like I said during the lick, this is just the notes of A minor, A, C, E, being played in a bunch of different positions. Playing these licks this way will really help you learn how to connect those arpeggio shapes across the neck and keep from just playing up and down the same old shapes all the time. So there's nothing really going on there theory-wise. Again, in the riff behind it, I made that outline A, and then this A minor triad. That's E, C, and A. After this, we get up to the B section. Now again, this time in the riff here, we just have a B note, and our Friedman brain is interpreting it as like, well, this is a cool opportunity to do this dominant flat 9 kind of thing again, right? That's why we started off with the B major triad. And then when we got up to here, this is where we started doing that flat 9 business again. You can see whenever we're in this position, that just gives us third, fifth, and flat 7 to B. So this is now sounding dominant to our ears. But then, that's where we put that flat 9 in again. Again, there's B, our root note, so the note right in front of it is our flat 9. And then lastly for E minor, same deal as A minor, it's just the E, B, and G notes being used in a couple of different positions. Nothing really too crazy. But at the heart of this all is the sound of that dominant flat 9 thing. That is, again, the Marty sound. And you can kind of play around with that and get some really cool sounds out of it in all different contexts of music. Country players do this stuff all the time. Jazz players do this all the time. And it sounds Really cool. Again, a good way to kind of get an ear for it is just to take a dominant arpeggio and then start putting that flat 9 in there wherever you can. Really tense, like really aggressive sounding, right? Really, really cool. And again, once you kind of get a taste for that, it all starts to sound really awesome. But let's also talk about the time and the place for this. Okay, what is the time and the place where you can do this dominant flat 9 sound, right? Because if I arm you with these ideas, but then don't tell you how to use them, it's not exactly useful. There's kind of a trick for knowing when you can get away with this. Okay, first and foremost, when can you use it? Whenever you think it sounds cool. Seriously. There's always going to be an exception to the rule where it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, but it sounds freaking awesome the way that it does. If your ear tells you it's cool, then go for it. But the more textbook use of a dominant flat 9 sound comes in the way that it resolves to the next chord. That's something to have in mind here. Okay, so again, this riff followed E, A, B, and E centers, right? E, A, B, E. Now, we put the dominant flat 9 sound on the first E, we skipped it for the A, we put it on the B, then we skipped it for this last one. It all has to do with building up tension and then resolving it with whatever the next chord is. And there's a trick to knowing when to do it. It's something that I refer to all the time as a fourth fall, okay? Okay, so I'm not just thinking about where I'm at now, I'm thinking about where I'm going to next. E to A. E to A is a fourth. E, F, G, A. You can even count it on your hand fingers if you want to. These dominant flat 9 sounds work really well whenever you're on a chord that's resolving to a chord a fourth away. So some kind of E resolving to some kind of A. It could even be major sounding. It makes the tension all the more like unpleasant, and then it resolves very nicely, whether it's major or minor. Sounds really cool, right? Now after that in the riff, we have a B that's going to an E. B to E. B, C, D, E. Another fourth fall happening right there. Anytime you're doing that fourth fall, you can make the tension all the greater and the resolution all the sweeter by making that harmony uglier, like using these dominant flat 9 sounds. So whenever we're going from B to E, that's an appealing resolution as it is. That works. But it sounds even more tense and aggressive if that B is a dominant flat 9 sound. Isn't that cool? Again, instantly more exotic. This could have just been... That's fine, but we made it sound more interesting by using... Really, really, really cool stuff. Again, I learned a lot of this by playing with, listening to, learning from my good buddy Emil Wursler. Listen to his Verlorene record on Spotify. You're going to hear tons of those sounds on it, but you're also going to hear this all over Marty Friedman's playing. So again, start looking at every riff, every like single note riff or every power chord riff as an opportunity to abuse some of these dominant flat 9 harmony sounds and superimposing different harmony over the top of that by using some of these arpeggio shapes, especially if it's going to be centering around a fourth fall, depending on where the riff is going next. So there you go, guys, a crash course in all things Friedman. Hopefully that gives you guys some great ideas about how you can start using some of his arpeggio stylings and get around the physicality that you're going to need to play solos like Tornado of Souls, Killing Road, and others in his incredible library of work. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell down there for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. And sign up to that Patreon page today, guys. You're going to get practice tracks to go along with this lesson, as well as a ton of other bonus goodies that are going to make your life so much more better, I assure you, even for just the low, low price of $1 a month. So don't delay, sign up today. Well guys, as for me, it's time to get away from here and get somewhere that has some air conditioning in it, hopefully, and probably put some ice packs on my face to keep the swelling down from these dang old wisdom teeth. But as for you guys, I hope you use your newly attained wisdom to get away from the computer, grab your guitar, and go do some playing. Let's click it. More picking.